Both Hull and McBride are slow to get up on the other end. It's 4-on-4. 2 more for Boston.
I had that first half feel, especially with 18 and just 20 minutes of play.
I mean, it obviously feels good, I think, for me, just playing with confidence. We're missing people, so everyone's got to do a little bit extra, be a little bit more aggressive offensively. So that was my mindset going in, and obviously it feels good to see the ball go through the net.
Lexie Hull just lit the court on fire with the game of her life. The Fever were rolling with momentum, but in the blink of an eye, everything collapsed. Indiana not only let a monster third-quarter run crush them, but they also lost 2 more key pieces, Chloe Bibby and Odyssey Sims, stacking onto an already brutal injury list that already had Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald sitting out. That's 6 rotation players gone. 6! Leaving the Fever fighting for their playoff hopes with a skeleton crew. Sure, there was heart, there was grit, but the frustration was impossible to ignore. After the game, head coach Stephanie White tried to highlight Hull's aggression, but fans couldn't help but wonder, why are halftime leads always slipping away under her watch? The questions are louder than ever. And then came Lexie's words, raw, real, and powerful, sending shockwaves through the locker room and firing up the entire team. If you ride for Lexie and the Fever, drop it in the comments right now. Lexie Show, let's go. Because make no mistake, Hull's breakout wasn't just impressive, it was the heartbeat of the night. With Indiana's roster stripped to the bone, she carried them with 23 points on 9 of 16 shooting, splashing 4 of 7 from deep, and logging nearly 37 minutes against a Minnesota squad loaded with depth.
Hull tonight, career high for her, just especially effective there early on. What were you seeing from her performance?
She was aggressive. I mean, she was hunting shots. She was aggressive to the rim. You know, she knew we needed another scorer on the floor, and because of the attention that Kelsey and AB get, she was getting free and she was hunting shots, and that's what we're going to need from her.
She looked unshaken, unfazed, and unstoppable, stepping into the spotlight with a fire that said loud and clear, she's not just another role player, she's ready to be a star. Her early threes didn't just drop. They sliced through the net so clean it barely even moved. Minnesota's defense looked stunned as Hull slipped behind them on backdoor cuts, grabbing wide-open looks like she owned the court. By halftime, she had already stacked 18 points, single-handedly keeping Indiana's offense alive when the game was still hanging in the balance. And these weren't empty buckets in garbage time. Every shot came when it truly mattered. What made it special wasn't just the scoring total, it was how she did it. Hull refused to be boxed into one style. She darted into open lanes, attacked the glass with force, and kept defenders chasing shadows every time she moved. Indiana leaned on her harder than ever before, and she proved she could carry the weight. This wasn't luck. This wasn't some random hot night. It was a statement performance fueled by pure confidence. Afterward, Hull downplayed it all, saying she was just trying to read the defense and make the right play. But behind those words was a player who knew the team's injuries left her no choice but to step up big.
An all-star appearance was right here in Indianapolis back in July. Oh, looking inside for Boston. She will launch and knock down a 3. Lexie Hull's hit a pair. End of that game, but foul line continues to flummox Smith here this year. Here's Hull backdoor, puts on the brakes and lay it in. It's a Lexie Hull show.
Even Stephanie White admitted she finally saw Lexie hunting her shots with an aggressive mindset. And that's exactly what flipped the switch. Hull wasn't sitting back waiting for the game to find her. She went out and snatched it. For a stretch in the first half, Indiana looked alive again. Hull's jumpers kept dropping, Kelsey Mitchell was carving up the defense, and the bench was exploding after every bucket like they were about to spark something magical. You could feel it just watching. The swagger Lexie Hull brought was infectious. Her confidence spread through the team, and for a brief moment it felt like Indiana might still have one more haymaker left to throw. But no matter how bright her spark burned, it couldn't hide the cracks all around her. As electric as Hull was, one star night can't patch up the gaping holes left by a roster that's been gutted beyond recognition. Indiana begged Hull to play the hero.
Obviously, Chloe Bibby, a late addition to the injury report. Just when did that injury happen, or do you know the severity at this point?
Felt something during pregame, and so holding her out as a precaution. We don't know anything, so hopefully we'll get some more information tomorrow when she can be seen.
And she delivered. But the weight of everything else crashed down fast. That second half surge slammed right into the same problem that's haunted the Fever all season long. The truth is, Hull's big games shine so loud only because this roster is hanging by a thread. The injury storm hasn't just hit, it's torn this team apart. Caitlin Clark's been sidelined since July 15th with a groin injury. Sophie Cunningham's year ended after MCL surgery. Sydney Colson tore her ACL, and Ari McDonald was shut down with a foot injury. 4 players already gone before the ball even tipped. And then, like a cruel twist, this night piled on more pain. Chloe Bibby's knee flared up in warm-ups, holding her out before she could even step on the court. Then Odyssey Sims went down in the fourth, walking off and never coming back, with the team now waiting nervously for more evaluation.
I think she left the game and didn't return. Is she injured? What's up with that?
Yeah, no, we don't know anything yet. She's going to get evaluated tomorrow, so we'll see.
With regards to Odyssey, do you have any ideas of what it was she tweaked? Was it a groin or any area?
I have no idea. I just heard her say I need a sub, and so I got Shay up there.
The Fever aren't just fighting opponents, they're fighting to survive with what's left of their roster. That stretch left Lexie Hull standing as the last real wing in uniform. The Fever were scrambling to piece together lineups on the fly. With Bibby gone, they lost one of the only forwards who could steady the balance. When Sims limped out, it stripped away the only veteran point guard they had left. Suddenly, Indiana had no choice but to dump huge minutes on young guards and short-term signees. At one point, Sims asked for a sub, and in walked Shea Petty, a player who had literally just joined on a 7-day hardship deal, now forced to run the entire offense. Think about that. Bibby herself was only signed earlier this month, and she was already being leaned on as a stabilizer. That's how razor-thin this bench is right now.
McBride was an all-star for the 5th time in her career as Boston goes backdoor to Hull, working on Williams. Hull gets it to go, and a foul.
The ripple effects couldn't be ignored. Hull was stretched to the max, logging exhausting minutes as the lone wing option. Brianna Turner and Michaela Timpson got thrown into brutal mismatches, roles they were never meant to fill. The offense turned shaky in real time. Guards without rhythm struggled to initiate clean sets. By the third quarter, fatigue was written all over the floor. Simple ball movement broke down, and Aaliyah Boston kept fighting for position inside, only to see late passes, bad angles, or nothing at all. Even coach Stephanie White admitted the obvious. They're trying to integrate 2 new point guards in the middle of the season. And the chemistry gap showed. Plays that once flowed when Clark was in charge now ended in rushed jumpers or careless turnovers that left fans pulling their hair out.
Chloe Bibby's absence, you'll likely see a lot of Turner on the floor here today as Lexie Hull launches and hits. It's a 3-point parade going in. Here is Hull. Look how aggressive Lexie Hull has been here in the first half. That was her 8th shot. Lexie Hull with all the confidence in the world. Petty wide open. Oh!
And it didn't just stop on offense. Defensively, the exhaustion hit hard. With so many awkward lineups and heavy legs, rotations lagged, Minnesota picked apart every slip, and the Fever looked one step behind. The vibe around the team feels like glass, fragile, ready to shatter with every fresh injury. Still, the players keep trying to rally, but it's starting to feel like pure survival mode. Those MVP Kelsey shirts the team wore pregame weren't just fashion. They were a battle cry, a symbol that this squad hasn't quit, no matter how many bodies they're missing. But pride doesn't replace depth, and that forced the entire weight of the game onto the battered core. Veterans scrambling, newcomers thrown in, everyone fighting to keep the ship afloat. And when it felt like everything was stacked against them, a few stars still rose. Lexie Hull lit the arena with her career-high 23 points in 37 minutes, but she wasn't carrying it all by herself.
Had she been dealing with any soreness or anything like that in previous days, the week leading up to tonight?
Yeah, I think everybody's dealing with soreness at this point in the year. But yeah, I had been dealing with a little bit of knee soreness, and again, just want to make sure that we're cautious and figure out what's going on before she gets out there.
Kelsey Mitchell turned into the engine yet again, delivering 27 points, dishing 5 assists, and burying 5 of 7 threes that left Minnesota scrambling to adjust every time she crossed half court. Aaliyah Boston fought tooth and nail in the paint, anchoring the middle with sheer toughness. And even newcomer Shea Petty, fresh off her Fever debut, gave them an unexpected spark that nobody saw coming. Together, this patched-up roster somehow stood tall against impossible odds. But the night had an even deeper story. MVP. Kelsey wasn't just talk. Her teammates honored her pregame with those shirts, and Mitchell admitted afterward how much it meant, saying, "They make me feel like I'm important to them, and vice versa. That value means everything to me."
Play Lexie 40 minutes. How can you handle the wing without Chloe tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to do it by committee. Bree Turner can guard 5 positions, so she'll be out there defensively. We've got to try to manipulate lineups a little bit more to figure out who we can stretch the floor with. So probably on the floor at the same time as Dee Dee in a lot of things that we do. But again, if it's not going to be space in the floor in the half court, we've got to be able to get our defense to create some offensive transition opportunities. That doesn't always have to be steals for scores, but we've got to get missed shots that allow us to get out, run out, and try to create some things in transition.
And she proved it on the court, refusing to let the Fever fold under suffocating defensive pressure. Indiana's backbone might be cracked and bruised, but with Mitchell, Boston, Hull, and even Petty holding it together, they're still swinging when everyone expects them to fall. Aaliyah Boston's stat line wasn't flashy, but it was rock solid. 15 points and 6 rebounds while grinding through endless minutes without much front court help. Her steady presence at least kept Indiana from being steamrolled inside. Still, critics were quick to point out her defense didn't have the full dominance expected from an all-star. And with the Fever hanging on by a thread, even steady felt like it might not be enough. But then came the shock of the night. Shea Petty signed off a hardship contract and barely even practiced with the team before being thrown into live action. Petty stepped up with fearless confidence. She dropped 10 points, buried 3 of 4 from deep, and played with an edge that had Coach Stephanie White singing her praises afterward. Her quick trigger shooting gave Indiana a much-needed jolt, though the rest of her game still showed some rough edges. Running the offense and directing flow looked raw.
Into tonight kind of expecting to play darn near the whole game just with the injury situation and the personnel available.
Damn, you played 37 minutes.
I mean, you played a lot too, Kels. What did you play? 35. I mean, yeah, we're down people, so gotta suck it up, play a little tired a few minutes, and take in those timeouts as best we can. But yeah, I mean, we're down people, so everyone's got to do a little more.
Yeah.
For you offensively, was the plan to kind of try and get some looks inside early to get yourself going and then start working from the outside, or was that just kind of how the game set itself up?
Just to read the defense, I think I got some really good passes on the back cuts, and that's a testament to my teammates, finding me, but keep moving, just reading whatever they're given.
Flashes of promise, but clearly still a work in progress. Still, paired together, it felt like something was clicking. Hull's hot hand, Mitchell's leadership, Boston's steadiness, and Petty's debut all combined into moments where Indiana looked like they might shock everyone and punch above their weight. Which raises the burning question: which of these role players deserves a bigger role as the season rolls on? Hull proving she's a scorer, Petty flashing as a sniper, or Boston grinding down low? Fans can debate it, but the truth is, none of it mattered when the second half began. That's when the energy flipped, the momentum vanished, and all that promise unraveled before their eyes. Indiana's fight was real, but it wasn't enough to stop the collapse. This game ripped the curtain back on how coaching, or the lack of it, can flip everything upside down. Indiana walked into halftime with the lead, but minutes later, it was gone. Minnesota stormed out of the locker room and torched them 32-17 in the third quarter, erasing every ounce of progress and stealing control like it was nothing.
Championship teams, their attention to detail throughout the course of 40 minutes is there for the most part. And we're learning how to do that.
White herself, though, didn't shy away when asked afterward. She admitted there were moments where we had some breakdowns in personnel D and cited turnovers as a turning point. She also pointed out that Indiana is working in new point guard.
And the worst part? The Lynx didn't even need anything fancy. They spaced the floor, drove straight to the rim, and crushed the offensive glass with purpose. Meanwhile, Indiana looked helpless. late on rotations, soft on box outs, and leaving Aaliyah Boston stranded under the rim to battle multiple bodies by herself. It was possession after possession of second chances and wide-open rhythm shots, breaking the Fever apart while everyone watched. And yet, from the Indiana sideline, nothing changed. The same coverages, the same light pressure. No adjustment, no answer. Just Minnesota feasting on the same cracks over and over. That's why the heat fell straight onto head coach Stephanie White. Once again, the Fever looked sharp in the first half, but collapsed after halftime with no visible counterpunch.
Taken back. It was fun. It was funny. I was very humbled. I was grateful for my group. I love the people I play with, and to know that they would go out their way to make something like that happen for me, it means a lot more than people know, because I have been here the longest. I have, everything that people talk about, I have been, and to know that my teammates kind of like see me as, I have value somewhere, and I feel like they make me feel like, I'm important to them and vice versa. And so that value means everything to me. And anybody knows me, I'm a loyal type person. And so I'm going to forever look at them like forever friends after something like that.
This isn't an isolated flop. It's a season-long pattern. Early momentum fades, the opponent adjusts, and Indiana has no counter move. Fans see it, analysts are calling it out, and the frustration is boiling. To her credit, White didn't dodge the questions afterward. She admitted there were breakdowns in defensive personnel and pointed to turnovers as a turning point. But for a team this desperate, breakdowns don't cut it. Fans want answers for why the same script keeps playing out again and again. Stephanie White tried to explain it away, reminding everyone that Indiana is running with new point guards who've barely even practiced with the team. The chemistry simply isn't there yet, and that's bleeding into both ends of the floor. Sure, that context matters.
Obviously mentioned just now and how you guys want to make those lulls obviously not
Shorter.
as bad. Just what can the team do on the floor? What can you guys as a coaching staff do in the moment to kind of break those up?
Yeah, I mean, some of it's timeouts. Some of it's substitution matchups, although we don't have a lot of those. And some of it's just attention to detail.
But for fans, the patience is running out fast. They keep watching Boston trapped by two defenders at the rim with no help, closeouts arriving a step late, and opponents owning the third quarter night after night. Injuries make it tougher, no doubt, but it's the same broken patterns playing on repeat, and that's what drives fans crazy. And here's the harsh truth. The clock is ticking on this season. Indiana still sits in 6th, but according to Athlon, they're only half a game ahead of 7th and barely 1.5 games clear of 9th. Which is straight-up danger territory. Every one of these collapses chips away at their playoff hopes, leaving the margin for error almost non-existent.
It could have been real easy to fold in that third quarter when they broke it open, to put ourselves in position, to come back to compete to win a ball game. It's no matter what it happens, win or lose, the roots that this group is forming culturally, the roots that they're forming.
So the spotlight shifts. Is this on Stephanie White, a coach too slow to adjust? Or is it unfair to judge when the roster's been ripped apart by injuries? That's the debate boiling over right now. Some say the system is broken. Others argue no coach could survive this injury storm. Which side are you on? Because one thing is certain, this chapter leaves more questions than answers. But through the chaos, one player's firepower kept the story from being completely hopeless. And her performance deserves the spotlight.
It's pretty obvious. We have people filling the stands. We have people cheering. We have people so excited for the individual success of the teams, but also the league as well as the players. So there's so many more eyes on the game.
And that spotlight landed right back on Lexie Hull. Because while Indiana kept crumbling around her, Hull stood up and spoke with a fire that the whole locker room felt. After the game, she admitted the team was tired, banged up, and shorthanded. But she refused to use that as an excuse. Instead, she said she had to step into the moment and do whatever it takes. Words that hit harder than the box score.
The clutch player by WNBA fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie.
Her 23-point eruption wasn't just numbers. It was a statement that she's no longer just filling a role. She's demanding one. Teammates rallied behind her energy. Coaches praised her aggressiveness, and fans could see the shift. This wasn't the quiet Lexie Hull anymore. This was a player taking charge. What makes it even juicier?
In terms of competitive spirit and what it means to compete at this level, I mean, those are what allow us to withstand these storms. And the numbers tell a story, but their hearts.
Hull's defiance comes at a time when critics are tearing into the coaching staff, blasting the rotations, and questioning if the Fever are wasting their season. Yet here she was, refusing to fold, refusing to hide, and dragging the conversation away from collapse and back toward fight.
Previous interview, you talked about struggling throughout the season. So what changed and how are you able to turn the page so that the end of the season went a lot better?
Lexie.
It almost felt like a changing of the guard. One player stepping up to say out loud what fans have been screaming all season. This team still has fight, no matter who's left standing. And right now, Lexie Hull is the face of that fight. Lexie Hull's career night wasn't just a hot streak. It was a glimpse of what this roster could look like if they were finally whole.
Beginning of the season, my playing time definitely looked different than it did at the end. So trusting that, I was staying ready, putting in the work so that when I did get the minutes out on the court, that I could take full advantage of them. So I was just really proud of myself for trusting the process and staying.
Fans saw her step into the spotlight and prove she belongs right next to Kelsey Mitchell's monster 27 points and Aaliyah Boston's steady 15-6. For once, it felt like Indiana had the pieces of a foundation worth believing in. But let's be real, the urgency couldn't be higher. The Fever faced Minnesota again on Sunday, and back-to-back losses could wipe out their razor-thin playoff cushion in a heartbeat. Hull gave us a reason to believe, but belief alone isn't enough. This team has to finish.
It's really fun because they garner so much attention, obviously, from the other team's defense. So then it allows the other players, me included, to make cuts, make reads, and they're really good at finding, those openings and giving the ball up when it's needed and finding the better shot. So it's really fun, and I feel really lucky to get to play.
So now it's your turn. If you're riding with Lexie and the Fever, drop a Lexie show in the comments right now. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video so the story doesn't get ignored. Turn on all notifications so you never miss out. And click the video on your screen because we'll see you in the next one.